Good afternoon. My name is Mike Scanlon, City Manager for the City of Osawatomie, Kansas, and this is my weekend update for June 18th, 2021. Today I'm going to talk about the Big Five in terms of the goals that we have. But before I get started, today's really going to be hot in the Kansas City metropolitan area in Osawatomie. We'll have a heat index of 105 degrees. That heat advisory will last until this evening at 8. But what I want to tell you is when we get to these hot summer days, take time, especially if you have an elderly neighbor, to check in on them to make sure that they're okay. That if they've lost their air conditioning or they need some assistance of some kind, that you reach out to us and we will in turn try to help anybody in our community that finds themselves in distress during these hot summer months. As a community, it's all of our responsibility to take care of each other and to make sure that all of us are safe, especially during these hot months. So to the Big Five, if you remember, clean the community up, repair and maintain streets, economic development, creating housing of all types, and then hard and soft infrastructure. So today, I'm going to talk about hard and soft infrastructure. This has got a lot of discussion, debate, and you've heard it at the federal level, but it's not new to local government. We have viewed that every community is made up of elements of infrastructure. So hard infrastructure, water lines, sewer lines, utility poles, and the wires that connect them to both our grid and to your home. Broadband, soft infrastructure, those things that hold a community together and are viewed as amenities, but they're just as important as that hard infrastructure. Community centers, libraries, parks, playgrounds, tennis courts, basketball courts, golf courses, all of those what I would call recreational, educational amenities that are important to the quality of life and to economic development in a community. So hard infrastructure, soft infrastructure. I'll talk more about hard infrastructure and then maybe I'll tail off and we'll talk a little bit about soft infrastructure next week. Hard infrastructure for us, wastewater, water, electric. If you remember the polar vortex and the spike that we saw in our utility bill on the electric side and how we all are pooled into a much bigger set of grids and grid systems, you understand that these infrastructure elements can become important. We're going to look at our diesel generation and see if it can be beneficial in terms of it being available to take on load at certain times. At the same time, part of our economic development efforts are around a solar project just north of the hospital, whereby we could provide solar power or electricity to the hospital and then also to the city at the same time, reducing the cost of electricity for the hospital and then allowing us to peak shave. When we start up our generators, that costs us about $105 a megawatt hour to produce. We are typically buying electricity between $8 and $15 a megawatt hour. So you can see running those generators isn't very cost effective. Now the longer you run it and the more fuel you buy and the better your discounts and all of these things, you can bring that cost down. And what you want to be able to do is to generate electricity when it's needed and when it's appropriate. Needed means, is there a blackout and we need to bring power generation on? And second is when appropriate, when the price in the market reaches such a point that our electric generation is more cost effective than what we can buy at. So it's much more complicated than just flipping on a switch and starting the generators. There are costs that you have to be aware of and you have to factor in as you produce electricity. Now let's talk about wastewater. Wastewater is that thing that leaves your home and you never think about it until your sewer lines are clogged, backed up, and then you think about it. For the most part, every drop of water that comes into your house has to go or leave. If you didn't drink it, it's going to come out, and it's going to come out either through your toilet or your sink, and then it goes to our wastewater treatment plant. Our wastewater treatment plant has been in need of repair for quite some time. This summer, with a KDHE loan that we received, a $600,000 grant from Community Development Block Grant, which is through the Kansas Department of Commerce. We're going to be able to make needed repairs to our wastewater station and plant, and then be able to hopefully maintain that over time. At the same time, we're looking at our water plant, which also has generation in terms of electrical generation capacity. That water plant is in great need of repair. We need to either buy water, consolidate with someone else. We're going to have to come up with a way that allows us to get water as we weigh what to do with our water plant. It's to the point that repair isn't an option, it's replacement. So we're working through that with a committee of community volunteers, as well as Terry Upshaw, the head of all of our utilities here in Osawatomie. So just remember this, there's two types of infrastructure, hard and soft. I talked a little bit about the hard infrastructure and what we're doing to work on it in Osawatomie. I'll talk about soft infrastructure next week. And when in doubt, take care of your neighbors. I'm going to run this a little bit longer today, and I want to thank the Pride Committee. We've had memorial trees in John Brown Park for, I'm going to guess, more than 25 years. We've lost a lot of those trees over time. Last Tuesday, with the help of Pride and some of the families associated with those memorial trees, we were able to replant 11 trees. And that's a combination of maples and oaks and sweet gums, or black gums rather, trees that are appropriate and can survive our type of environment. In the past, we have planted trees that aren't really native, nor are they able to live well in Kansas when they're in a park. If cared for in someone's yard, yes, but if in a municipal park where the water, some years we're going to have a lot of rain, some years we're not going to have as much rain, those trees weren't meant for this climate and this habitat. So we think we've planted habitat appropriate trees. I want to thank the Pride Committee, because without them, this would not have gotten done. And here's a few pictures to share with you as I sign off for the week. And again, thank you, Pride Committee. Take care of your neighbor. I'll see you next week. Have a great weekend. Stay cool.